let me play some videos.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep. Good evening, everyone. So this is the school that Miss Elaine is teaching in the UK. It's located in Plymouth, one of a very lovely city. It located down southwest of UK. It's called City College, Plymouth. So the video that I play for you all to watching just now is about our student journey going to UK, how they're settling down, checking in, flying together, and then checking in the accommodation, attending the induction day. And then later on, we have the city tour together with students. So every year we have a number of students from Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Japan, from China, from Taiwan, going to UK for this college to study for various programs. So the programs in Malaysia and from China are very popular. We have the Prince program, the foundation, and also the exchange program provided for students that they finishing their high school and then they need a pre-U program before progressing to the university. So for China students, we have a program called IPCB Plus. They can experience 1 semester to study in the UK, and then getting the credits to transfer back to their college, and then continue with the semester break. With that, during the semester in the UK, they will also be arranged to work in the British company and also experience a lot of UK culture. It's a very good experience for students. A little background of the college, including they get TEFGO. This is the short form for Teaching Excellence Framework. It's an award given by the UK government. It's the highest status, that is bronze, silver, and gold. Gold is the highest status given and awarded by the government, and also a testament for the teaching quality provided by the college to students. Okay, and in 2017, they get these awards. On the same year, the university and the institution get this gold award also have Oxford University, Oxford and Cambridge University. So far, they are ranked 6 in the UK. For students studying there, we have very high, and we are very proud of the student satisfaction. So so far, students studying there, we have about 12,000 students. It's a combination from the home student and the international student. But international students only make up less than 2%. It's about 179 students, and they are from Malaysia, from Thailand, from Indonesia, from China, and also Taiwan region. So our group of students, they are very enjoying the time there. So this is a video created by our group of students. They're having the exchange program this year. I think last year and this year, students, they experienced something very challenging because of the COVID. COVID makes things very different. So a lot of students in your own country, maybe you're still having online lessons and having studies online. But UK government, when they reopening the school in March, we have our students. We are one of the very first school in the UK to welcome back our students. So they're trying to arrange the students to come back to school to study, so that students not be like affected a lot. So this is a video that we can play, and let's see how is the situation in the UK.
5, 6, 7, 8. Dance with me in my backyard. Your corner of me. Up to good boy. I'm not the sharpest. Backyard boy, make me dance with me. Backyard boy, looking super fine. 5, 6, 7, 8. Heels down real quick, baby. It is perfect. Dancing around like I'm not the circus. Backyard boy.
I think that's all for my info sharing. So I'd like to pass the time to Elaine. So yeah, And today will be our part 2 last session. And I hope students can be benefited from the session. And later on, we have a breakout rooms. Student will put into the breakout rooms, and then I hope student you can really put everything that you learn into practice. The best way to practice speaking is by speaking more. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I would just like to echo those words that as we've been talking in the last few sessions about speaking and listening, the best way to improve is to practice and to use your skills as much as you can, and to believe that you have got skills, because you do have skills. So what I would like to do today is to practice thinking about continuing yesterday, planning and organising a talk for about 2 minutes. And we'll practice doing that all together to begin with. And then in about 30 or 40 minutes, we'll go into breakout rooms, and then you can work with the people in your breakout room to prepare another talk. But we'll have a look at that as we go on. It's not something that I have designed to worry you. It's not something that I have designed to assess you or find out where your weaknesses are. It's just something that you can do to practice. And when we were talking yesterday about our topics, we were thinking about unfamiliar topics, but also unexpected topics. I think that all the topics will be familiar to you, but you may not be expecting that topic that day in your assessment. So these sessions are by far the best place for you to practice your speaking and try an experiment. Try to speak with people that you don't know. And remember that you can make a mistake without worrying about it. It's not an assessment. And these are the times when it's really important to make a mistake, because you can learn how to correct it. You can learn from other people's mistakes. If you make a mistake, other people can learn how to put that mistake right as well. You're not going to make a mistake that nobody else has ever made. So we'll think a little bit now about what we were doing yesterday, and we were looking at some different topics, weren't we? If I just share my screen with you so that we can remind ourselves about yesterday. It was only yesterday, but sometimes it feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? So 2.2. Lovely. So hopefully you will be able to see. Let me just move back up to the top. You'll be able to see what we're doing. So today I want to think about extending your speaking skills. So we're thinking about the speaking skills that you have already, but stretching them. So you've got skills, and we want to use them and stretch them and use them as much as we can. We've looked in the past at vocabulary and how sometimes we learn vocabulary and then we lock it away in a vocabulary book, and we never open the vocabulary book and use the vocabulary book. That's what we need to do. We need to use those skills. So we're going to think about delivering a short talk on a familiar topic, but we will work our way towards that goal. So when we are planning, we want to remember all the W's that might be relevant. We know there are 5, but we probably only need to use 3 or 4 for different topics. But I can remind you who, when, where, why, what, in any order. And then we've got how and examples. Examples and reasons are really important for extending the length of your talk. Often people worry about having to speak for 2 minutes, but actually if you've planned it, you've got examples or reasons to include in your talk, 2 minutes is not very long at all. When you were looking at that video a moment ago about the students coming to City College Plymouth last year, I know that sometimes when I was doing speaking practice with them, they said, oh, 2 minutes? I can't talk for 2 minutes. And then 4 minutes later, I'm saying, actually, you need to stop now because you've spoken for more than 2 minutes. And that's where practice also helps us to judge the length of the talk. So we want to also focus on vocabulary, synonyms, antonyms, and alternative words. So when we're planning this morning, we want to think about how we can include other words. Can you remember that yesterday we were thinking about that a little bit, and we were talking about different topics and how we can include other words in a list almost. So if we're talking about, for example, a train journey, we could say my favorite train journey or trip, and just adding that extra word in demonstrates your knowledge vocabulary. Connectives, we know that when we're chatting, when we're speaking to friends, we don't mind using and, but. We want to try and show our vocabulary knowledge. So we were looking yesterday, weren't we? We mentioned also, in addition, despite, however, and those words. And how we can extend the information and the detail, and how we can think about talking for a length of time in the same way that people were yesterday about stairs and books. And then summarizing, which is a really important thing to remember to do. It helps to organize your talk. It helps you to include any vocabulary you think you may not have included and you want to include. And it's a good way to end, to signal to the examiner that you are at the end of your talk. Sometimes people are talking about a topic, for example, their favorite book, and they say, yeah, it's so exciting. I really enjoy reading about the adventure, and yeah, and that's it. And it's a really awkward way of finishing. So summary is a good way to finish. So we'll have a look at that today. So yesterday we focused on some topics for planning, and I want to just have a look at those topics and remind you about grammar and tenses. So the first one is a book you have enjoyed. And you can see there that we've got a perfect tense, you have enjoyed. And that's because it's in the past, but it's still connected to the present. You still enjoy that book, and you may enjoy that book again, or you may enjoy other books again. So we want to think about remembering where the event might have taken place. So something you own that is important to you, you can see there that we've got a present tense. And when we are talking about habits, owning something that is important to you now, we use the present tense, even though it was important to you in the past, and it will be important to you in the future. Because that's general truth, we use present simple. And then we're looking at the last one, which is past simple, and it's in the past. So an event or festival that you enjoyed. So that might not be, as we were saying, it might not be every year. You might have a festival or an event that you enjoy every year. Could be your birthday, for example. That comes around every year. You might enjoy it every year. But in this sentence, we're talking about past simple. So we want to focus on a particular one that was very enjoyable for a reason. So you might have other birthdays, but that birthday in particular, you may not have again. Because maybe it was your 13th birthday and it was special for the reason that you became a teenager or something like that. So let's have a look at how you got on yesterday. And I'd like you in the chat box, or if you want to unmute your microphone, you can, but probably in the chat box will be easier for us to manage. What about ideas for the first one? So if we think about number one, and we're thinking about a book you have enjoyed. Oh, how many books have we got there? Book, and we've got an exclamation mark there. Okay, so in the chat box, did you have any ideas that you could add in there? Any ideas for other vocabulary that we might use with talking about a book? How you might structure that? Any suggestions? Did anybody plan in any way for that one? It's all very quiet. No messages. Any suggestions? Okay, let's have a look if I put something in there. What's another word for book? Any suggestions in the chat box? Another word for book? Genre, yeah, good. Literature, piece of fiction, excellent. So I'm going to just go back there. We've got piece of fiction, genre, and literature. Okay. Can anybody think of the word that begins with N that might be about a book? Novel, well done, thank you. Okay, and then Lucy, I think it was Lucy mentioned genre. And if we're thinking about genre, what does that mean? Any suggestions? Thanks, Aisha, you mentioned a poem. Genre, yeah, types, that's well done. So different genre, we've got romance, adventure, mystery, love stories, etc. So well done, yes. So let's put types. So we've got types of literature, which could be adventure, romance. What else did you put? Let me have a look. Go back to the chat. Mystery. Yeah. So we can think about those. We could also think about crime. That's another popular kind of book, isn't it, or type of book. We've so far looked at piece of fiction, literature, novel, poem. Can you think of a different genre which is not fiction? Any suggestions? Oh, horror. You like different books to me. I'm very scared of things like that. So autobiography, documentary, yes, and we would call those, that genre would be factual. So we might have autobiography, and we've got two different ones there. If we've got autobiography, then that is written by the person. And if we've got biography, it's written by somebody else. So let's put biography. So I could write a biography about you, but I could write a biography about an autobiography about myself. Lovely. Okay, so we've got some good ideas there. So if we were going to be talking about this, we were thinking about a book I have enjoyed. We can think about the book that we enjoyed. Was it a novel, or was it a poem, or maybe it was a collection of poems? We can think about the kind of literature. So if it was fiction or a novel, usually we use novel and fiction together. If it's factual, then we wouldn't always call it a novel. So if it was fiction and it was a novel, then we might say, okay, the one I enjoyed was a romance, because I don't really like crime or horror books because they make me feel nervous. So we've got an antonym there, haven't we? We've got an opposite. So if we enjoy a certain kind of book, extending our speaking, we can also talk about a kind of book we don't enjoy. That's why we enjoyed this book, because it wasn't one of the horror crime novels that we don't enjoy. So genre is a really nice word to use there. You might say a book I enjoyed was XYZ. It's a romantic novel. That's my favorite genre. I don't really like crime or horror literature. And I find factual books like autobiographies and biographies a little less interesting, because I prefer something which may not happen in real life. I like to have an escape into an imaginary world. So if you've got one book that you enjoyed, already we've talked about so many other books. We haven't started to talk about your favorite book yet, or the book that you enjoyed. We've talked about why we don't like other books, why we like the kind of novels that your favorite one is. So that's how we extend our talking. It's not a test on your knowledge of books. You don't have to say that you really like a very serious book that's recommended to you by your teachers for being a very good example of a particular kind of genre. Remember yesterday we were listening to that video about the man who talked about a children's book that he really enjoyed? That doesn't matter. He was an author. He was a very sensible person, a very intelligent person, but he still talked about his favorite book being a children's book that he read when he was an adult. So you're not being judged in the IELTS exam at all. Great. So can we think about any adjectives that we might find useful? If you can think back to yesterday, when we're talking about a book or a novel, a piece of fiction, and we're talking about what happened, we're talking about the characters. Can you remember any of the adjectives that were useful, or that the guy in the video yesterday mentioned? Captivating, great one. I will add that onto my slide. If you can add any more into the chat box while I'm typing this, that would be good. Thrilling, brilliant. Any others? Can you remember how he described the little girl began with an A. Maybe not. He said the main character was adorable. That's a word we might use more about young people, small children, animals. We probably wouldn't say adorable if we were talking about an older person. And again, it depends on the genre of book that you're talking about. If you were talking about a James Bond book, you probably wouldn't say that James Bond was adorable, but you might say the book was thrilling. You might also say it was captivating. If something is captivating, it means you can't stop reading it. And can you remember the phrase that we used yesterday in the video when we were talking about a book you can't stop reading? You can't do something. No. Can't put it down. We also talked about cliffhangers for an exciting book, something that we can't guess what's going to happen next. And what does that do to us if we've got cliffhangers? Where are we thinking about being, or how are we sitting when we're reading? On the edge of my seat. So all of these might be useful notes to make if you're planning your talk. You get a minute in IELTS, and if I was going to plan, then I would probably write down for my plan. Let me make a new plan. Okay, plan. So I want to name of book. Name of author. Genre. What happened? When did it take place? We want to think about who are the characters. How did I feel about the characters, the story? Can you remember, if we're telling a story, what did the guy yesterday, what did he use when he was talking about the character who told us the story? Can you remember? Begins with an N. Any suggestions? Narrative, good. Narrative is a noun. We might use a verb as well. So we can have narrative. We can have narration. That's also a noun. And narrates. Let's just take that out actually, and we'll make that into a new point. Oh. Okay, good. That's the kind of plan that we want to have for our different talks. Okay, we will take longer to make our plan, but that's the kind of structure of the plan. So in the IELTS, you're going to get a minute to do that. So you probably want to practice planning in that way. So we haven't decided on a book or title of a book. And we've got our other topics that we were looking at yesterday that you were also thinking about. So something you own, and we suggested maybe something like a watch or a lucky charm. And we talked about possible events or festivals that you might have enjoyed, focusing on a particular, if something happens regularly, focusing on a particular one. So what I would like you to do is to think about working in small groups. Let me just stop sharing that and I'll talk to you then. Okay, are we back? Yeah. So I want you to work in some small groups and discuss those. So I will give you one of those topics, and some of you might be working on, for example, something you own that's important to you, and another group might be doing the same thing. It doesn't matter if there's more than one group, because it will be different things that you own, or it will be different books, or it will be different events. And then I would like you to come back to the main room after a little while, once you've had your discussion, and to share your group's ideas. So if I just share again the instructions. Yeah, am I sharing that? I don't think I am yet.
Hi, Elaine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, ready. So you can let me know if you are ready for me to open the room. So they will assign the student to each of the room. In total, we have 5 rooms.
Brilliant. That's brilliant. Thank you so much, MT. I'm just going to show the slide with the instructions and then we'll go into the rooms. I'm just trying to make the students feel comfortable before they go in. So let's have a look. I'm on the wrong one. I want to go back to Taster 2.2, not 2.1. Here we are. Oh, okay, so that's our plan. So what we want to do is to plan your talk in your breakout rooms, which MT has very kindly set up for us. And I will check your ideas with you. And then you have choices to make in your group. You can decide that all of you will plan the talk, but one person will deliver the talk at the end of the planning. Or all of you will plan the talk and then all of you will give the talk. So you might say, okay, you talk about the introduction, you talk about the first part of the main body, you talk about the second part of the body, and you do the conclusion. So it would be great if we could have some talks, and it's entirely up to you and your group if you want to do it as one person delivering the talk that you all planned together, or all of you doing that. If you feel less comfortable with that, if you feel you can't talk and there's nobody in your group who feels they can talk, then you can share your plan. You can talk about it, or you can give the ideas that you had in the chat box, and I will come and talk to you all while you are planning. I've just thought there is actually another option, which perhaps isn't as clear there. It could be that one or two of you, or three of you, let's put some, some of you give the talk. So if there's just one of you who doesn't want to, as long as you have all planned it, that's the key thing. Because when you are planning and discussing the ideas, then you're using your English and you're speaking to each other. Okay, so in the chat box, any questions, or shall we go into the breakout rooms? So I'll just give you a moment if there are any questions. This is an experiment for all of us, guys. Don't worry. I don't use Teams. I'm not a great expert in Teams. So if my ideas don't work, we've still got the chat box and we can still talk to each other via the chat box after that. Okay, so perhaps we could go into the rooms then, please, MT.
No problem. It will take a minute. Okay.
That's fine, no problem. Can I visit each room?
Yes.
Fine, that's great. I'm used to it on
Google
Google
Meet.
Classroom, but this is slightly different.
Hello, can I know the students here? You are not assigned to the breakout rooms?
Hello, organizer. Hello. Hello, organizer. I see. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I accidentally end the call. Can you please let me back to the breakout room?
I think you the room same as Lucy, right?
Yeah, same as Lucy. Yeah.
Okay. Connecting now. Take a minute.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, Lucy. Hello?
Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I just now end the call.
oh. I thought we go back. Don't know.
Okay.
Now we do well.
What?
Now we do well.
I don't know, maybe like we will just talk about what something you own, the topic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you were gonna talk about your guitar, and I will talk about computer.
Oh wait, now?
I think we can start now.
Do you want to do the honors?
Huh? Honest for what?
You want to start?
Yeah. I think we can.
Yeah, I was saying that you can like start your part.
Okay. So the topic about something I own is something I own, which is important in my life. Is my personal computer. Yeah. So I think about technology helps people a lot in their life. Optimize the life that they are living. So, for example, I will use computer for schedule my whole day and do some time tracking, yeah, to make sure I am productivity. I'm productive in all day. So yeah, so that's all.
I suppose it's my turn now. So I will
Yeah.
continue with the same topic. And I'm going to talk about a guitar keychain. Basically, it's a keychain with a metal guitar. And this is an item that holds some importance for me because it involves basically my hopes and dreams. Before I actually start on with this keychain, I might have to do with a little bit of background story to do because this might actually take a while. As a kid, I used to join singing lessons, and I took some maybe a month of piano lessons or some short dancing lessons. Basically, I was very involved with music, and and growing up, I fully knew that when I grow up as an adult, when I grow up as an adult, I would definitely.
So hopefully we're all joining into the main call now. And I think as you join, we're not all joining at the same time. I think possibly you might all join gradually. But as we join, we've had some more successful rooms and some less successful rooms. And I know it's a really strange experience when we're on a virtual call like this. We're in a virtual classroom. You don't know me, I don't know you, you don't know each other, and it can be really difficult. But do remember that when you come to your IELTS exam, that experience will be quite similar. You will be in a room with an examiner you don't know, and they don't know you. And so often when we don't know people, we feel like they are going to judge us and they're not going to help us. But some of the rooms that I visited were very conversational. So even though they didn't know each other, actually, I think they realized they would help each other because they were in the same position. And that's what happens with IELTS. Your examiner is there to try and give you marks, not to take marks away from you. So it was a little experiment for us today. And it was a little experiment for me because I'm not accustomed to Microsoft Teams, so I don't use them very well myself. So we've all had a learning experience, and that's a really useful thing to do. Every time we do something, we learn something new. And that's, so I've extended my skills a very little amount today. Hopefully you can remember to do that in all your situations. So I know some of the rooms were quite happy to talk in the main call. Some of the rooms were not so happy to discuss topics. It's also on a virtual call, it's also difficult because we might not be in a position where we can easily unmute. We might be somewhere busy. So I completely understand that. It's not a problem if you're not able to talk for those reasons. So I think I left Han and Lucy discussing possibly a book, possibly something they own. Lucy's room, did you come to a conclusion about what you were going to talk about? You can unmute.
We were talking about that something we own.
Okay, something you own, you decided on. Okay, how are you going to give your talk, Harian?
So for me, something that on me that it is important in my life, which is computer. So I think nowadays technologies help people improve the way they are living. So I often use computer every day for my life. So for example, I will use computer to schedule my whole day to make sure that I am productive. So I think that's all.
Okay, I'm just making a few notes while you're writing because you use some really good language there that other people who are listening might be able to think about using. So you started off by saying, I often use, and that's a really good way of introducing the topic. We talked about that yesterday. I'd like to talk about this book, and you said, I often use my computer. You gave an example and you introduced your example by saying, for example, and you talked about scheduling your activities, and that's a really nice way of saying organizing or planning. There are two pronunciations for schedule, and you might hear me say schedule, which is very British English. However, that's also because I'm old and I speak old British English. Younger people tend to use more American pronunciations. So the American pronunciation is schedule. Either of those are acceptable for IELTS. That's not a problem, but just to be aware of that. But it was a really good word to use. And so you can be productive. And again, thank you for that. So you can achieve things during the day. So well done. Thank you very much, Harian. And thank you for being the first person to speak. Well done. You can feel proud of yourself. Lucy, would you like to add anything to that?
I was thinking of talking about something that I own myself.
Yeah.
Like, so I separately, I will say a whole new different thing.
That's
something
fine.
that it's a keychain. It's a metal keychain of a guitar. I got it from an education fair held by my school, and it was from a music academy in Australia. It really, when I went there, I was the only junior student. Everyone else was very old there, and I felt out of place. But walking and walking, trying to sense which type of university kind of suited me more. And eventually I found a music academy called JMC Academy. It's in Australia, and And I myself, I'm really involved in music. So growing up, I knew I was going to be heavily involved with the music industry. And this academy really piqued my interest because it had courses like songwriting, music production, and all of that. Really, out of all the booths of different universities, this university was the only one that had courses that was really interested in. And so after talking with the guy that was introducing me about the academy, he gave me a keychain. It was a little keychain of a car, and ever since then I kept it because it was something that kept me going. Because in uh, my school doesn't actually teach music, so it was hard to kind of hold on to that little dream of mine of being involved in music. And basically, I'm in probably my last year of secondary school, and uh, to be honest, I was really burnt out by studying, because when you do something that you're not really good at repetitively, as time goes on, you probably will come to hate it. At least that's what happened in my case. So I was really
Lovely.
burnt out.
So that I'm sorry to interrupt you just for a moment, Lucy, but when you are talking and you are really good at talking, you've got some very good phrases and you're very fluent. But in the exam, you might find that the examiner will interrupt you like that and you'll stop. And it will make you feel, oh, maybe I've said the wrong thing. But actually, the examiners will be very strict on timing. So that's another thing that we want to think about with our planning. So I interrupted you. I'm sorry to do that without warning, but it's useful to know this will happen in the exam. So in your planning, everybody who was listening to Lucy, there was a lot of information there that was really interesting. And I would have liked to have heard more. But if I was the examiner, I would stop her after the allotted time because they're very strict on timings in the exam. So we heard from Lucy about the keychain, where she got it from. It was a car keychain, and why she got it. I think for the exam, Lucy, it would be good to focus on planning so that you can make sure you stick to the time. However, when on a virtual call, when everybody is on mute, you feel like you have to keep talking because nobody else is speaking. So really well done for doing that. You spoke confidently and you spoke fluently. You used some excellent vocabulary. You talked about feeling out of place, which is a good phrase to describe your feelings there when you weren't feeling comfortable or at home when you were looking at the universities. So excellent there. Well done, Hao and Yan and Lucy, for your talks. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? I know that Joanna, Ivan, and Leonard were talking about speaking. Are you guys ready to give us a short talk?
Yes, sure.
Excellent.
Our group will be talking each individually. Okay. So I'm going to talk first. Our topic is something you own that is important to you. So for me, something important to me is my mobile phone. It's a gift from my mother since last year, if I remember correctly. Because it's something that doesn't occur every day. So I think that this mobile phone is really precious to me. Plus, it's quite expensive, so I kept it really carefully. Okay, not only that, if I were to get lost, for example, in a family vacation or when I'm on my own, I can use my phone as a GPS to know where I am. Furthermore, I can use my phone to for emergency calls, just in case of someone having a heart attack or having a health problems, I can use it as an emergency call. Yeah.
Thank you. Shall we take the next person and then the next person, and then I will talk to you all about your talks. Well done. Who's going to talk next?
All right, I will go next then.
Fine.
Okay.
Lovely.
The thing that I feel from the important things that I have is a pen, because I think it is important for me. Like when I know some important information that I want to know, like immediately note it down. I wish I have a pen so I could write it down at one of a paper so I can remember it and bring it home so I could like never forget about it. And a pen is useful for like some situation, like if there's a salesman in front of you, maybe not a salesman, maybe a people with a paper would like to borrow your pen to sign something like very important. You can just borrow it to him to help him. So I think a pen is important for me.
Super. Thank you, Ivan.
Hi. So for me, the most important thing I own is my watch. I got it from my last birthday, my 17th birthday, and I choose it from an online shop. It's called Lazada. It was my first time purchasing things online, and my mother paid it for me. And it is because sorry, it is important to me because as a senior below 3 students from 6 students, I need to apply for documents in my school. So when I have this watch, I can know what the time is and make sure I will be in class on time. So during recess time, after eating, then I'll be rushing here and there to places in my school. And if I don't have my watch, it will be really difficult for me to know what the time is and get into my class before the bell rings. So this is why my watch is important for me. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. Guys, were there 3 in your group, or was there another person? I can't remember.
There
Yes,
is, but
I think
he
there
wasn't
are
talking.
only 3 students in this room.
So 3 people are going to speak. That's fine. I didn't want to talk and there was somebody waiting to speak. So I think these guys, well done. This will probably be the last opportunity. We're running out of time. So you see, it's not so difficult to keep on talking, even though you don't feel you might want to begin with. I will run out of time by the time I've given some feedback. So if you haven't spoken, but you would like to, then do let me know. You've all got my email address and we can build in some time next week for that if you would like to do so, because I don't want to stop anybody. So just going back to those talks, Leonard was talking about the mobile phone and a very nice adjective there, precious. You also talked about the uses, you gave some examples, and you used a connective with furthermore. So instead of saying and, which I might do when I'm talking to you, I might say and, but when we're being assessed on our knowledge of English, we want to use some of those better connectives like furthermore. So well done on that. And giving different examples of uses and being able to talk about emergencies and so on. Well done. Ivan, talking about your pen, something to be careful with, which British people also have a little trickiness with, is lend and borrow. So if you have a pen, you can lend it to someone, not I can borrow it to them. So you can give and lend. If you take something, then you borrow. So you could say, I can let somebody borrow my pen because the person doing the borrowing is the other person. So they're doing the taking. Or I can lend my pen to them. But you also talked about making notes and it being much better for making notes and being able to remember things if you have written it down. So well done. Some nice language there, Ivan. And Joanna, again, with your watch, well organized with why you had it for your 17th birthday and where you got it from and how that was a new experience for you. Just also be careful with pay and buy. So your mother bought it for you rather than paid it. So just remember those two things, but really useful information and also nice phrases like here and there. So when I'm rushing here and there, so it makes it sound more fluent and it doesn't sound so much like an English student having an exam. So I think today some of you have managed to extend your skills in being confident at talking to other people that you may not know, using your English. Not suitable perhaps for everybody to do that today, but well done. And I hope if you didn't speak, then I hope listening to the people who did speak today, Hao-Yan and Lucy, talking about their important items so well. Thank you both for doing that. And I'm sorry to have interrupted you, Lucy. And then for our final three, Leonard, sorry, Ivan and Joanna, for talking about their precious items as well. Next week, I hope to see you all again. We're looking at essay skills and essay writing. We're going to start off by thinking about what's involved when we're writing an essay and the steps that we should take to do that. And then if we can, use the breakout rooms again next week on Wednesday, then I would like to think about using those breakout rooms and discussing planning essays again, a little bit like you did today. And hopefully I will be a little smoother with my skills on using breakout rooms. We'll see how much I've improved. So I look forward to seeing you guys next week if you're able to register for that. And I will pass back to MT. Thank you very much.
Thank you, students, staying with us until this late, and I'm very happy students actively engage in the breakout room and try to speak out and sharing your ideas. So we're coming to the end of this speaking and listening taster sessions by Miss Elaine, and but next week we will have our last session, the part 3. In this part we have session 1, 2, 3, 4. That will be on the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 15th. So I hope students, if you already register, we will send you the link. But if you not yet, you can still register a place with the key contact person that contacted you earlier on from PDVL or from the IBE Alliance. So I hope you already got bring back a lot of useful information or the IELTS tactics or the techniques for speaking and listening. And Leonard will sit for IELTS exams tomorrow. Good luck for your exams, Leonard. And
Yes.
fingers crossed. Good luck for your test. Hoping to see you all to join the part 3. So thank you all for today and for time. Thank you, Miss Elaine. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, MT. Bye, everybody. Hope to see you again. Bye.
Bye-bye.